You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borg. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today's Thursday, 26th day of March, 2026. Thanks for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. The first broadcast is our live training room. So to get into that one, you got to be a member or taking your 1-week free trial. This broadcast, on the other hand, is open to the public. Everybody, everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. There's 2 different ways to join this afternoon broadcast live. The best way, you only got to do it once. Go to mytradingiq.com. Scroll down the page to where it says Noon Broadcast. Click the link, fill out the 30-second registration form, and you're done. What happens going forward is every trading day, you get an email about an hour before this broadcast starts. In that email, there's a link. So at 12 noon Eastern, all you do is click the link in the email, and it automatically logs you into our platform. The benefit there is you immediately have access to the question box, so you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Of course, there'll be days you're out of the office, away from the desktop, but you still want to join live. Some days you'll be busy, so you can't join live, but you want to get caught up later. You can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN. That's the Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, as we're doing right now, simulcasting, but we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there's over 2,900 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. And if you're new to our neck of the woods, it's a great way to get to know who we really are. Thanks to the power of YouTube, you can scroll back 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, even more. Now, obviously, you're not going to watch them all, nor do you need to. But it's a great resource to have at your fingertips because it allows you to see how we've evolved over all these years, day by day by day. youtube.com/CFRN. On the left side of the screen is our schedule for each afternoon broadcast. At the top of the hour, 1 p.m. Eastern, Michael will join us for a recap of everything that happened this morning in the live training room, and then do a little bit of live trading as time and the markets permit. But we'll start right now where we do each and every day with our daily devotional. And the topic we're on right now is, God, where are you? As they traveled along the road, they came to some water, and the eunuch said, "Look, here's water. What can stand in the way of my being baptized?" And he gave orders to stop the chariot. Then both Philip and the eunuch went down into the water, and Philip baptized him. When they came up out of the water, the Spirit of the Lord suddenly took Philip away, and the eunuch did not see him again, but went on his way rejoicing. Philip, however, appeared at Azotus and traveled about, preaching the gospel in all the towns until he reached Caesarea. Again, that was Acts 8, verses 36 through 40 from the NIV translation. Sometimes God's most important assignments come with the least explanation. Philip discovered this when an angel gave him a seemingly random command. Go south to the road, the desert road, that goes down from Jerusalem to Gaza. Acts 8:26. No explanation, no context, just go. As Philip walked the dusty desert road, he encountered a remarkable sight. An Ethiopian eunuch sitting in his chariot, reading from the scroll of Isaiah. This wasn't just any traveler. He was in charge of the Queen of Ethiopia's entire treasury. He had made the long journey to Jerusalem to worship and was now returning home. The Holy Spirit prompted Philip to approach the chariot. As he did so, Philip heard the man reading aloud from Isaiah 53. Philip asked a simple question. Do you understand what you are reading? Acts 8:30. The eunuch's honest response opened the door. How can I, unless someone explains it to me? He invited Philip to join him in the chariot, and Philip found himself with a captive audience, hungry for truth. The passage couldn't have been more perfect. The eunuch was reading about the suffering servant. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter. Isaiah 53:7. Starting with this very scripture, Philip told him the good news about Jesus. As they traveled, they came to some water. The eunuch's response was immediate. Look, here's water. What can stand in the way of my being baptized? Acts 8:36. Without hesitation, they went down into the water, and Philip baptized him. The moment the eunuch came up from the water, the Spirit of the Lord suddenly took Philip away. Acts 8:39. Philip's mission was complete. The eunuch rejoiced as he returned home, carrying the gospel back to Ethiopia and becoming Africa's first recorded Christian convert. This wasn't a random meeting, it was a divine appointment. Through one obedient evangelist and one seeking heart, the gospel crossed into Africa. The Ethiopian's high position meant the message would spread throughout his sphere of influence. God still arranges divine appointments today on unexpected roads. Your willingness to follow his prompts, even without full understanding, could lead to someone's eternal transformation. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, as the Ethiopian eagerly stepped into the water in faith, help us to respond quickly and wholeheartedly to your truth. Wash us clean, renew our hearts, and lead us by your Spirit, just as you guided Philip. Give us joy in obedience and a boldness to follow wherever you send us. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray, and everybody said, Amen. Amen, and happy Thursday. Now, Thursday means tonight is the members-only workshop. I'll do my best to get us started at 8 p.m. Eastern. On the dot, I'll do my best. That means it'll probably be 8:02, 8:03, but Let me give you the numbers from around the world, and then I will go over a little bit of news, and then we'll go to the charts. And then Michael will join us for a recap of the live training room this morning. Currently, the Dow is down 201 points, NASDAQ down 256, which is almost 1.25%. S&P 500 down 54, almost 1%. And the Russell 2000 down 16. In the commodity basket, crude oil up $4.20. You know, the president had a cabinet meeting this morning that was live streamed. Now, he's going to speak today at 4 p.m. Eastern after the markets close. So I expect we're going to see a pretty strong reaction to whatever he says when the markets reopen tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern. Remember, futures trade up until 5 p.m. Eastern, and then the market goes quiet for 1 hour. And then tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern, that will be the beginning of the Friday session. So, based off of the things that Trump said this morning in the cabinet meeting, which last time I looked was still going on, pushed crude oil up $4.23, trading $94.50 last. It's a gain of over 4.5%. Gold, on the other hand, dropped $122.50, trading $44.29.20 last. That's a drop of 2.75%. Silver down $4.04, trading $68.60 last. That's a drop of 5.5%. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei fell 145 points. The Shanghai dropped 42, just over 1%. The Hang Seng fell 479 points, almost 2%. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE down 135, almost 1.5%. The DAX fell 311, almost 1.5%. And the CAC dropped 45. So that gave us a red day in Asia. It was a red day for the UK. And it's a big red Radio Thursday here in the US of A. If you were tuned in yesterday, it was green all around the world. What a difference a day makes, right? So that's the deal. All right, let's look at the news real quick, see what's important. This social media thing, this trial, let me just give it to you. A Los Angeles jury held Meta and Google's YouTube liable in a landmark social media addiction trial, awarding the plaintiff $3 million in compensatory damages. The decision could influence more than 1,600 similar lawsuits from more than 350 families and over 250 school districts. The case centers on a now 20-year-old woman identified as KGM who began using social media as a child. KGM accused Meta and YouTube of addictive design, with notifications and recommendation features, she says, fostered a decline in her mental health, including body dysmorphia, depression, and suicidal thoughts. Now, after 2 weeks of deliberation, the jury found Meta and Google negligent in the design and operation of their platform. Meta is being held liable for 70% of the harm, with YouTube responsible for 30%. And as you know, TikTok, they settled out of court. The decision has been likened to the tobacco trials of the 1990s. You can revisit the 60 Minutes interview with tobacco whistleblower Jeffrey Wigan. Just go to 60minutes.com. Turning to Wall Street, President Trump threatened Iran with intensified military action, seeking to pressure the country to ramp up negotiations on an end to the war, even amid uncertainty over the status of those discussions. President Trump said in a post today on social media, they better get serious soon before it's too late, because once that happens, there's no turning back, and it won't be pretty. Now, with the 83rd Airborne headed that way, those guys do one thing, and pretty much one thing only. They jump out of airplanes at night. And where do you think they're going to land? In Tehran? Nope. I guess under the cover of darkness, they'll parachute right into Karg Island. And when the sun rises, the world will no longer be held hostage. The president's comments come as Washington has been insisting that peace talks are ongoing despite Tehran publicly rejecting overtures from the U.S. and instead issuing conditions of its own, which are absolutely ridiculous. Now, Trump says they're begging us to make a deal, which they should do because the military has been obliterated, there's zero chance of a comeback, and yet they publicly state that they are only looking at our proposal. Wrong, the president said. Iran has been splintered into so many factions now, with all of their top leaders out of the game. Who do you even talk to? It's like, it's kind of like when Biden was president. Who's running this place? You may have read an article that came out yesterday that Biden admitted Obama was pretty much making all the decisions while he was president. I haven't vetted that, so somebody had to be running the White House because it sure wasn't Joe. He was napping on the beach for 4 years. From Bloomberg, memory chip stocks extended their losses today after Alphabet, Google's parent company, publicized research on a new algorithm that could allow more efficient use of the storage needed for artificial intelligence development. Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix, South Korean leaders in the market, both fell at least 6% in Seoul. In the U.S., Micron Technology, Western Digital, and SanDisk all slid at least 5% in U.S. trading after they closed lower yesterday. Memory chip companies have been on a tear in recent months as surging investment in AI infrastructure led to shortages, triggering a spike in chip prices and profit. SK Hynix and Samsung shares had soared more than 50% this year through Wednesday, yesterday, while longtime laggard Kioxia had more than doubled. Google's new technology could alleviate the supply crunch, potentially pushing down prices. The company publicized the research on X this week, although it had originally come out last year. You always got to look below the surface. OpenClaw is taking the tech world by storm. Here's what you need to know about OpenClaw. If you've been tracking the latest AI news, you've likely heard of something called OpenClaw. Or maybe it was called Clawbot, Claudebot, or Moltbot. They're all the same thing. OpenClaw is an AI agent platform developed by Peter Steinberger in November of 2025 designed to give AI models the ability to do things in the real world. Steinberger originally called it Clawbot, a take on Anthropic's own Claude AI model, but changed its name to Moltbot before ultimately landing on OpenClaw. For a platform that's just a few months old and has had 3 names, OpenClaw has quickly skyrocketed in popularity among AI boosters, developers, and enthusiasts. In February, OpenAI snatched up Steinberger, hiring him to help develop the company's personal agents. NVIDIA had Steinberger on its GTC pre-show panel on March 16th, and the popular lobster claw logo is turning up as some not-so-stylish headgear fans wear at tech meetups around the world. If you're not up on the artificial intelligence race, though, everything I just said might as well be in a different language. If you find yourself asking what the hype is all about, or what in the world I'm talking about, I've got you covered. Here's the basics. AI agents have been the hottest trend in artificial intelligence for a while now. But as a refresher, you can think of an agent as an AI bot that can perform actions on your behalf. While chatbots, like the initial version of OpenAI's ChatGPT, provided you with a more conversational version of a search engine, agents can do things like make changes within apps, grab data, rearrange it for you, browse the web, or even make purchases. But OpenClaw isn't a new kind of AI model like ChatGPT or Anthropic's Claude. Instead, it's a platform that allows users to create AI agents that run on those models. The agents then communicate with ChatGPT or Anthropic to determine how to perform the actions you tell them to and complete them. What agent means in the AI world is a technology that can autonomously do things for a user and typically enact changes in the world. So if you think of a travel agent, he or she is not only someone who you can talk to, but someone who also affects change in the world, meaning they can buy you a ticket. They can put you on an airplane. They can reserve a hotel. That's just one example of the many things that AI is doing and will continue to do for the future. Now, on a downbeat, Wave Life Sciences, WVE. Good Lord, they're down 53%. Their shares plunged their most on record after a single higher dose shot of its weight loss drug failed to meet investor expectations for reducing visceral fat. The medicine known as WVE-007 is intended to be used as a less frequent treatment to help people shed pounds without losing muscle, a known risk with the blockbuster obesity drugs sold by Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly. The drug is designed to work by turning down a gene linked to obesity and intended to be given once or twice a year. A previous look at the drug showed a 240 milligram dose reduced total fat mass by 4% and visceral fat by 9.2%. without any lean mass loss after 3 months. Visceral fat is a type of fat that occurs far under the skin and surrounds internal organs. Analysts were expecting participants who got a higher 400 milligram dose to do even better. Instead, those getting 400 milligrams had a total fat loss of less than 1%, visceral fat loss of 5%, and a 0.2% loss of lean mass. Wave shares fell as much as 58%. When markets opened in New York today, their largest drop ever. The stock has slumped 28% so far this year through yesterday's close, and it's currently trading at $5.76 a share. This might be a company worth looking at, because if they can fix what's wrong, well, then it could be a turnaround story. As you know, the Olympics are coming, last I heard. The International Olympic Committee announced today that it would restrict women's sports to biological females as determined by a genetic test. The policy will go into effect for the Los Angeles 2028 Olympic Games and onwards. The IOC adopted as the standard a test for the gene associated with the sex-determining region Y protein, also known as SRY. The SRY gene is responsible for the initiation of male sex determination. Eligibility for the female category is to be determined in the first instance by SRY gene screening to detect the absence or presence of the SRY gene. Game changer. I mean, come on. Anybody that thinks biological males should be allowed to compete against biological females in any kind of sport, man, your head's in the sand. Come on, wake up. Wake up. All right, one last thing. Trump's signature legislation, the one big beautiful bill, has emerged as a key weapon for Republicans on the 2026 midterm campaign trail. But they're selling it a bit differently than their boss. On July 4th, 2025, Trump signed his big beautiful bill into law, which cemented his 2017 tax cuts and advanced several core domestic policy priorities like border security enhancements, Medicaid reforms, and rural health funding. Initial polling showed the massive package struggled in popularity, prompting top Trump officials to brief Capitol Hill Republicans on a more targeted sales pitch in the fall of 2025. They advised shifting away from the flashy Big Beautiful Bill title and calling it by its legislative name, the Working Families Tax Cuts Act, to emphasize benefits for everyday Americans. You know, this stupid Jimmy Kimmel, man, that guy stopped being funny a long time ago. I don't know if you heard last night, he dissed our new DHS Secretary, Markwayne Mullin. Said he was a low-level MMA fighter and a plumber. And now he's going to run Homeland Security. What a clown this Kimmel is. This Markwayne Mullin, yes, he was an MMA fighter, but when his dad got sick, he took over a little tiny plumbing business and turned it into a multi-million-dollar company. That doesn't happen by chance. So for Kimmel to be so disrespectful is just unforgivable. Now, we live in America. We got freedom of speech. But just imagine if somebody in Iran said something about one of their officials. Well, you know what would happen? They would be publicly executed. So, anyway, that's the news. Now we'll go to the local stuff. Logic 247. That's our 24/7 around-the-clock E-mini alert service. Not just E-minis, but also crude, gold, and silver. We're currently in week 399. Over the last 399 weeks, we've issued over 21,800 individual handcrafted alerts. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out, based simply on market structure. A simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Now, last week we ended up with only 43 alerts issued, which isn't bad. I mean, 5 never triggered, 38 actionable, 6 stop outs, 16%. And then as we began the new week on Monday, we had 1 stop out. And then by Tuesday morning, we had 2 stop outs. And then yesterday morning, we had 4. And so Valerie did the recap this morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern. 59 alerts issued since the markets opened this past Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. 4 never triggered, still waiting on the outcome of 6. That's 49 actionable alerts, of which 5 or 10% would have been stopped out, again based simply on market structure and the simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Now, the purpose of the logic alerts is to teach you how to read a chart. Okay? Sure, you can trade them, but if you never actually trade a logic alert, use them to learn to read the chart. Every alert has an entry price, long or short, followed by an initial target designed to help you get your goal for the day, and then in most cases additional targets, and then a final trade to target. If it's a long trade, then the final trade to target will be the weekly trading zone above, and if it's a short alert, the final trade to target will be the weekly zone below. The logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock. Futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session, and vice versa. Now, again, Valerie did the recap this morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern. So she will update the recap this afternoon before the members only workshop tonight. And I would suspect that these 6 waiting, some of them have probably resolved themselves. So the update will be posted in all the regular places and Telegram. Now, 399 weeks is a long time. It's over 7.5 years. But many, many years before we had Logic 247, we had our original alert service, the Concierge Trade Alerts. Now, they're different in a lot of different ways. But for the purpose of this discussion, I'll just say this. They don't come out around the clock. They're posted as a static report 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open each evening. So the Thursday session that we're in right now began last night at 6 p.m. Eastern. But 5 minutes before the markets reopened, all of our traders had all of these targets. The S&P 500, the Dow, the Russell, crude oil, the NQ, gold, and silver. Now, as we go through the individual charts, you'll see these targets drawn on the chart. Just remember that our traders had that information 5 minutes ahead of the open. Okay? All right. We'll start with the daily chart of the bellwether, the S&P 500 E-mini futures. And it's a big red day. Is it time to do reverse fibs yet? What do you think? I mean, we're back to the 24% fib retracement of the regular fibs. See, with regular fibs, you draw from the last significant low to the most recent significant high. That right there is the all-time historic high. Okay? So we've poked through the 24% retracement a couple times over the last week. First time was last Friday. And then we gapped open below it Sunday night. So I'm going to push it off one more day. But if you want to see what the reverse fibs look like, Stefan was kind enough to post a chart with the reverse fibs in the Telegram discussion group, and even and I reposted it in the trial discussion group. See how we're getting a little tiny bounce right there off that 24% retracement? So if we continue to sell off today, if we get a massive bounce, maybe I won't do anything, but more than likely tomorrow, I will get rid of the normal fibs and I will go reverse fib, which means I will draw the fibs from the high to the low. Regular fibs, you go from the low to the high. Reverse fibs, you go from the high to the low. Everything works the same, it's just in the opposite direction. One is for a bull market or uptrend. The other is for a bear market or downtrend. And as you can see, this transition pattern I've been talking about for months, it's really coming to fruition. Now, the wild card is, what's President Trump going to say today at 4 p.m. Eastern? He's waiting for the markets to close for a reason. I would think that the open tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern, after the world has had a couple of hours to digest whatever he had to say. Now, futures will still be trading while he's talking. So the final hour of futures trading each day, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, is typically pretty quiet. I think it's going to be a very active final hour today. Then when the markets reopen at 6 p.m. Eastern, I suspect that's going to be pretty active as well. But that hour from 4 to 5, as the president's talking, will probably give you a good idea of the direction the markets are going to head when they reopen tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern for the beginning of the Friday session. And if you didn't know, this is Palm Sunday. Next Friday will be Good Friday. And we won't be here. Okay. Now, one more thing. Price always reverts to the mean. I don't care what you trade or how you trade it. The reversion to the mean is just, it's like gravity. It just is. Now, in our case, the mean is green. And we call it the BBC. Stands for bull, bear, cross. When price crosses above the green line, we're bullish and expect higher prices. When price crosses below the green line, we're bearish and expect lower prices. But price always pulls back to the BBC or reverts to the mean. Now what's important is the pullback holds more often than it doesn't. Here, here, but we know eventually it's going to trade through like it did here. But then when we pulled back from below, the pullback held. Then we traded through again, and then the pullback held, and then it didn't, and then we got above. We got a leg and a retracement, the pullback held. We got a leg and a retracement, and the pullback held. You get the idea. It's pretty simple, right? Okay. So let's go to the 30-minute chart where all alerts are created, both the Logic 247 and the Concierge Trade Alerts. There's nothing magic about 30 minutes. It's simply the time frame I chose years ago. They say if it's not broke, leave it alone. And that's basically what I've done. The vertical lines separate today, Thursday. Back over here is Wednesday. Back over here is Tuesday. The horizontal lines are the weekly trading zones, which are published every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They don't change in any way whatsoever. We've published the zones every Monday for our members for over 16 years now. Here's the idea behind the zones. When price drops to a zone, we expect support until proven otherwise. When price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance until proven otherwise. And when price drops to a zone, we expect support until proven otherwise. Price is always trying to get to a weekly trading zone. If you're below the 30-minute BBC, price is trying to get to the zone below. If price is above the BBC, the green line, that means price is trying to get to the zone overhead. Now, this was the opening candle last night. Now remember, our traders had these targets 5 minutes before the market opened, okay? So we had an initial leg down. Now, because we're below the BBC, we should expect lower prices. This opening candle opened at 66.41 and dropped to 66.28. You can do the math. 28 to 41. It's quite a few points. You only need 2 points to get your goal for the day. So we had a leg and a retracement. Pullback held. When the market finds resistance, it's going to go look for support, which it found at the short target. Support will send the market looking for resistance. Pullback holds more often than not. Resistance sent us back to support. Come on. And as you can see, we consolidated for a while along the short target, and then we reached down. This weekly zone down here is 65.97/98. I just put one of the lines on there because I like to keep my charts as clutter-free as possible. So support at the zone bounces us up to the underside of the short target. When you trade through a CTA target on the retracement, in this case, the underside of the short target will often become resistance. When you trade through a long target on the retracement, the top side of the long target can become support. Okay, so we came down. Now, 70% of the time, when price encounters a zone, you get consolidation. 20% of the time, you get rejection. 10% of the time, the slice. See this little candle here, this 30-minute candle sliced through the zone like it wasn't even there, right? But when it ran out of steam, it retraced back to the zone it sliced through and then continued in the direction of the slice. The market found support here. Let me pull this up a little bit. Now, we had this big bullish cross on Monday. Okay, price hasn't quite got there yet. It got just to the top of it. See when the blue line gets above the green line and leads to an extended move? The first time price revisits that area will almost always be good support. So I'm going to suggest the S&P is dropping a little bit further, but when it hits this area here, about 65.56, we're going to get support, we're going to get a bounce. Now the reason I think we're going lower is, number one, we're below the BBC. And you can see here again how the underside of the short target acted as good resistance. But now what's happened is blue and climbing has rolled over and turned to red and falling. Obviously blue and climbing is bullish, red and falling is bearish. So I think we'll drop maybe a little bit more and then we get some kind of a bounce. Now that's the first time down. Second time down, we might trade through it. And by close of business tomorrow or after Trump speaks this afternoon, we could be sitting around the Sunday night open, which was, well, this was the 7 o'clock candle where we ran up. The Sunday night open was actually right here, where we had a big gap lower open. This is where we closed last Friday, and this is where we opened Sunday night. That is a huge gap. But that post that Trump put out at 7 during this 7 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. period on Monday, what a rocket ship. So that covers it. That covers the ES. Let's go to the Dow. See how you get resistance at the zone, support at the zone. Now, if you've never used the zones, you got to admit, having that kind of information ahead of time, it's pretty beneficial, right? Because this was a massive red candle all the way down. And now this all happened in 30 minutes. Massive candle all the way down to the zone. But look where we ended up closing. Way back up here at the BBC. Resistance. So we opened last night right here. We got a leg and a retracement, pullback held. And then we got a leg down to the zone. Support. That sends the market looking for resistance. BBC. Pullback held. Which sent us back to the zone. Support. And you see how we consolidated and then we reach down and tag that short target. Support sends us back to resistance. Pullback held. And then we traded lower. And okay, this low, it's not a spot I would have particularly called for support. But the fact is that's where buyers chose to come in. Okay. Now right here, that I would have definitely considered potential support. Where the black step line crosses above red and falling, turning it into blue and climbing. Okay. So we overshot that area by a little bit. Buyers came in and drove us all the way up. But you see, we didn't take out this high from yesterday. So that in of itself is bearish. And that's really where the market turned and headed lower. Now we started dropping around 10 o'clock, and that's when the cabinet meeting was supposed to begin. I didn't get started till much later, as usual with these types of things. I guess they were all standing in line at the airport. Now we've traded down through the short target. Okay. Now you should expect potential support at this low, at this low. And then if we really start to drop over here, you see this wick sticking up and this wick sticking down. You put your crosshair right in the middle. We'll call it 46,195. If you trade the Dow, write that down. Because if the market starts dropping, whether it's heading into President Trump speaking or while he's speaking, there should be good support there. But depending upon what Trump says, we could plow right through it. Or maybe he brings good news and the market's reverse. We'll have to wait and see. Here's the open on the Russell last night. We get a little leg, enough to get your goal for the day. Then we pull back to the BBC. Price always reverts to the mean. And the pullback holds more often than it doesn't. Get another leg, another retracement, and then we get a move. And we hit the short target, which was based off this low from yesterday. Okay. We caught a bounce up into red and falling, which is resistance. That sent us down. You see this low here. Okay. We spiked that low by just a little bit right there. That set us up to the underside of the short target, which became good resistance, which sent us to the zone, which we expect to be support until proven otherwise. This time it was good support, and this time we did trade through the BBC. I mean, the pullback held, the pullback held, the pullback held, but we know eventually it's going to trade through. And now where are we sitting? Right on top of a zone. Remember, price is always trying to get to a weekly zone. Below the BBC, it's trying to get to the zone below. Above the BBC, it's trying to get to the zone overhead. It's really pretty simple, okay? Now, some of these terms and concepts may be new to you. And if it sounds complicated, I assure you it's not. We've worked for 20 years to make things as simple as we can. Now, we had a bullish cross right here. That's when the blue line gets above the green line, okay? Now, this retracement here respected that bullish cross. But that low is still a very important price, important area. We'll call it 2507. So if the Russell drops below the low of the session, look for support at 2507. If it trades through 2507, right here where red turns to blue, let's call that 2500, expect good support. And then the next spot for good support's right here, 2491. And then right here, 2481. Okay. Reading the chart is not that difficult. You just gotta show up, listen, ask questions, and then one day the clouds just part and you go, oh, well, that makes perfect sense. The NQ. Now the NQ, I posted this morning. I had a mentoring session yesterday afternoon with one of our members, and we drew in some windows of opportunity. I drew these in the meeting with him yesterday afternoon. Then when the market opened, we filled the window. And that was a 20-point window, as I recall. And we traded through it all the way down to the CTA short target, which our members had 5 minutes before the market opened. Okay. And we hit it during the 7 o'clock to 7:30 candle. Support sends us to resistance, pullback held. Resistance sends us to support, the zone held. Support sends us to resistance, pullback held. Resistance is going to send us looking for support, and see how we consolidated. We had rejection there, consolidation here. Consolidation is what you're going to see about 70% of the time. And then we dropped. And I drew this live in real time this morning, and I posted it with the gentleman I was doing the mentoring session with yesterday afternoon, because he's getting the hang of how to do these windows of opportunity. So I drew the window. We filled it once. We filled it twice. We filled it 3. We filled it 4 times. Now this yellow arrow, see that bullish cross from Monday? Okay. People ask me, how far left do I have to look? As far as you need to. Okay. So once price got down into this area, when you look left, there's nothing to see until you get to here. And look where the low of that candle is. Right smack dab at the bullish cross. Boom. Support sends us up to resistance at the BBC, pullback held. That sent us back down to fill the window, and then we filled it again and again and again. And so where should we look for support at this point? You know, if we take out the current low, we're probably going to see the zone. The NQ looks the bearish of all the indices, and for the reasons that I explained to you earlier about Google and the whole memory and chip business. Crude oil, on the other hand, is rallying. Now here's where we opened last night. that short target, I don't know what I was thinking. That short target should have been right here. Anyway, I'm human, I make mistakes, but anyway, this should have been the short target down here, this low. You see how these two lows right here perfectly align with this low right here? Almost perfectly. Okay, that's market structure. Red and falling turns to blue and climbing. Off we go. Now when we hit the zone, what do? Consolidate. And then when we hit the previous bearish cross, that's when the red line gets below the green line and leads to an extended move. The first time price revisits that area, you should expect it to be good resistance. And it was. It sent price all the way back to the BBC, but the pullback held. So we get another extended leg and go all the way to the long target, consolidate, and then we hit the zone. And we pull back to the top side of the long target, and then we consolidate at the zone, and then we pull back to the BBC. Now, price is trying to make it to the next zone overhead, 96.60. If it gets above 96.60, you got a big bearish cross up here. We'll call that 97, let's call it 97.70. Yeah, 97.70. That should be really good resistance, at least the first time up. Okay. As mentioned, gold and silver got hammered. Happened. They've been on a historic run. I mean, nothing lasts forever, right? Except eternity. Yeah. So yesterday afternoon we get and then into the open last night we get a leg, and then this low right here. Okay, remember the vertical line, that candle hiding behind the vertical line, that was the final 30-minute candle yesterday. So this low after the market opened last night found support at this low. How do I know? Okay, this was a red candle all the way down to this point right here, which if you come over here and put your crosshair in between those two candles, spot on. Support, bounces us into resistance at red and falling. Then we come back to that same support. That bounces us up to the BBC and the pullback held. And we get a leg and a retracement and the pullback held. And then from there, went straight down to the short target, pretty much to the tick. Then we consolidated a little bit, and so far, well, this pullback held. Now we've gotten below the short target. We've gotten below this zone. So where's your next spot for potential support? Well, obviously the low of this candle is potential support. And then the low of this candle. And then right here where red turned to blue. Then this low, and then the zone. You got red and falling overhead, so prices are likely to go lower before they go higher. See, when price is above the BBC, you expect higher prices, but once it gets below, you're going to get pullbacks, but the pullback holds more often than not. And as long as you're below the BBC, you should continue to expect lower prices. Last but not least, silver, you're breaking my heart. So we had a leg and a retracement. Pullback held. Then we dropped to the short target. We even spiked it. Spiked the zone. And we hit this area right here. See where blue and climbing crossed the BBC? That makes that an important price, important area. Because from here, price rallied back up to the zone. See how price sliced through the zone, and then when it ran out of steam, price retraced to the zone and then continued in the direction of the slice. And so then the low right here, okay, buying came in a little earlier than I would have expected. I would have expected it to probably hit this spot. And it still may. But buying came in. Resistance at the BBC. Pullback hill. And then we get a leg. Now we got red and falling overhead. So chances are prices are going lower. And that brings us all the way around back to the daily. And we're still catching a little bounce off that 24% fib retracement. All right, Michael should be here. Michael, are you here? I guess he's running late. If you want to become a member, email Valerie, support@cfrn.net. In your email, just let her know you want to become a member. She will send you an email that has all the information, what it means to become a passport holder, what it's going to cost you, everything. Then you can, email back and forth with her, or you can call her at 949-42-EMINI, and she'll answer any questions you have, and you can become a bona fide member, a passport holder. And when you become a passport holder, you have access to everything. The logic alerts, the concierge trade alerts, the weekly trading zones, the members only discussion group, private one-on-one mentoring, and 2 hours of live training every trading day. 9 out of 10 new traders fail because they don't have anyone to teach them how to trade. There's plenty of people out there that'll sell you indicators and a little PDF, and they'll wish you well. And then next time you go to visit their website, they're not there anymore. It's a shame, but it's the truth. It's the truth about trading. So we're kind of different. We're available pretty much around the clock, either via telegram, email, or by phone. So you need help, all you got to do is ask. And we support each and every member to get them to whatever level of success they're seeking to the best of our ability. Okay? Not everybody's cut out to be a trader. That's why we give you a free trial with no credit card required, so that at the end of the trial, you can make a well-informed, intelligent decision as to whether or not what we do is right for you. Michael, where the heck are you? I guess he's busy. Huh. I know we had a couple meetings during the break. Telegram. Okay, all right. Hang on, he's here. I gotta do the deal. And there we go. And there we go. All right, buddy, you're good to go.
All right, so I should be in okay now.
You sound like a rock star. Welcome.
Right, good.
Okay, we're ready.
All right, well, here we go. Hey, it used my name instead of Jake's this time. That's interesting.
It did. I don't know what you got going on there, but
I don't either. That was hard to get back in this time. I had to go through Task Manager and cancel everything like 3 times.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Then I had to go to a different browser.
Yeah.
I had to use the Edge browser instead of my regular Brave browser and all that stuff. But
anyway, Everything looks good, so I'll see you in
All right.
30 minutes.
Sounds good. Here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Thursday, the 26th day of March, 2026. So if you have not taken a free trial with us and you want to, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple. There's no credit card required for the trial. Click on that. It's going to bring you to this page, not that page. It's going to bring you to this page. This is the page. On this page, all that we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number. You can just close all those things. There we go. Down at the bottom gives you TradingView login ID. Okay, if we don't get that TradingView login ID, we don't know that you took the free trials. I mean, we won't be able to enable the indicators on your desktop, so you got to make sure you do that for us, okay? Okay. Let's see, we had a pretty good day today. We're up $2,180 per contract this morning. Now, we were up 203 on the NQ, 47 on the Russell, 76 on the YM, and 44 on the S. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today, 12 minutes and 4 trades to get to $1,600 with 10 contracts on, or $160 with one contract. And we took a total of 52 trades this morning with 5 stop outs. So 90% of our trades this morning were break even or better. And on month now, we're at $20,095. That's over 14 business days, averaging $1,435 per contract per 2-hour business day. On the year, we're up to $64,347. Over 51 business days, averaging $1,261 per contract per 2-hour business day. Following the 24/20 blueprint, if you quit trading when you got the goal for the day and did everything exactly like I did so far this year, you'd have only had to trade just over 6.5 hours, 6.6 hours just about. And if you had all the same slippage and everything else, then you would be up $15,832 trading 3 contracts right now for an average of $2,404 per hour. Okay, let me scroll down here so I don't screw this up in a few minutes when I start trading in here. And because I had a little bit of a delay to getting started in here, I am going to go quickly through the trades. We did have a bunch of trades, so I'll go fairly quickly through them all. And then we'll be able to jump right into the trading part of this. Okay. All right. So on the Russell today, let me sit, control back. We didn't have many trades on the Russell today. So we'll start out with the whoa, I went right by it. Am I on the 19 range? I guess I am. Okay, so we can crunch it up and you can see almost the whole Russell right there. On the Russell, our first trade was a +5. Our next trade was also +5. That got us to 10. Then we had a +8. That got us to 18. Then we had another 8. That got us to 26. Then we had a 16, I think. That got us to 42. And then we had a 5. That got us to 47. And that was it on the Russell. Now, looking at it right now, the Russell does not have a trade right at the moment. It didn't come out of the overbought right there. It came out of the overbought back here, not off the mid-band. That was the Russell. The YM, did we ever negative on the YM? The ES was the only one we really got negative on today. Everything else was pretty good. The YM, I'm going to control them back. Oops, I didn't get out the question box just in case anybody asked me a question. There we go. Hit control and back on this. There we go. All right, so here we are. On the YM, our first trade was a 4. Our next trade was a 1 that got us to 5. And this wasn't supposed to be red there, I don't think. Is this a YM? This is the YM. Oh, okay, never mind. Our first trade was a 45. Sorry, we had a 45 and then we stopped out. That's what it was. And then we stopped out. That put us down to 20. And then we got a +5, got us to 25, another +5, got us to 30, another +5, got us to 35. And then we had a +30 that got us to 65. And then from 65 to 75, then 75 to 50 somewhere. We had a stop out. I don't think that should have been yellow. I think that should have been red. We had a stop out and we went from 75 down to 50 and then we went back to 55 and then 61, 66, and then 76, right? That one right there is the one that got us to 55, then 61, then 66, I think, or something like that. But we ended up with 76. We went from 50 to 55 to 61 to 66 to 76. So I got a lot of plus 5s on the YM today. And does it have a trade right now? It did have a trade a minute ago right here, but it doesn't have one right at the moment. Okay. And that was the YM. Now the ES, controlling back on that. And here we are. So you see we had some trouble here with the ES. Now we started out with a +8. I believe that's where we got the goal for the day once we got the +8 there. Then we stopped out. That put us at -2. Then we got another +8, put us at +6. Then we stopped out again. That put us at -4. Then we got a +1 to put us at -3. Then a break even. We went from 3 to -1 right there. And then went from -1 to 0. Then we had a break even. And then went from 0 to 4. And then 4 to 12. And starting here, we went from 12 to 16, then 16 to 24, and then 24 to 40, 40 to 48, and then we stopped out down to 38, and then went from 38 to 39, and 39 to 44, and that is where we ended up with the ES. Now these here, that didn't hit the mid-band, but I had an order there waiting. That's how we got into that one. This didn't hit the mid-band, but I had an order there waiting, and that's how I got that one. That's why those are off blue. Okay, now if we go all the way to the end, we will see that we almost have a trade set up right now. We need an up close followed by a down close. We're at the mid-band. If it closes down right now, it's going to mess things up, and it just did. Okay, so now we still need an up close followed by a down close, but I'm not sure that an up close is going to do it. It may take a little more than that. Okay, that was the ES. We ended up with +44 on the ES. Now the NQ, we had some stop outs here on the NQ2. To control back on that guy. And I'm going fast through all this, but that's because, well, I have a lot to go through, and I started 6 minutes late. Sorry about that today. Our first trade on the NQ, we got a +2, then a +12, we got a 14. And then I went from 14 to 25, then 25 to 36, then 36 to 50. Then we had a whole bunch of 10 ticks, right? Went from 50 to 60, then well, we didn't have that many 10 ticks. We went from 60 to 110. Then we had 10 ticks. Then we went from 110 to 120, then 120 to 130. Then we had a big trade, went from 130 up to 180, then from 180 to 190, 190 to 201, 201 to 211, then 211 to 221. Those are the 10 ticks. Then 221 to 239, and then we stopped out on our last trade to the tick right there. We stopped out. That did end up going down. And that put us down to 203 on the NQ today. And it does not have a trade right now either. Okay, so none of these markets have trades right at the moment. That's pretty close, but it's not one. That's pretty close. None of them have trades right now. So, I'll fix that in a minute. To go back here for just a moment. Today we ended up with, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, your daily safety serious disclosures down the bottom. Today ends with $2,180 per contract, 203 on the NQ, 47 on the Russell, 76 on the YM. That's right. Yes, and 44 on the ES. All right. And now we'll get into the trading for now. I didn't go through this, so if you have not taken a free trial with us and you want to, go here to mytradingIQ.com, click on the purple button, no credit card required, fill out the form. That's all you need to do. There. So this isn't in the red yet, but it's going to be the YM. Everything else is in the red, so we're looking for pullbacks off the mid-band on everything right now, except the YM. Well, just waiting now. Does anybody? You do have a question, Bart. As the slingshot or the charts, how do you reverse that? You go in here like this, click on the three dots like that, Bart, where it says more, click on that, then go to move to, and yours will have existing pane below, is what it'll say, okay? Existing pane below. Okay, here you go to move to. Click on the three dots, go to move to, and yours will say existing pane below, all right? Now, we just about have a trade here on the ES right now. We just need the down close. It has, the markets are really crawling right now. But 450 down to 250 is what you're looking at on the ES. I don't know why the market's got so slow here, but it's okay. Got a lot to do today, feels like. Got another meeting right after this. Then I got another thing I got to do right after that. We have a partners meeting tonight. Okay, so the ES just got a little higher, so the trigger is going to be a little higher. 65 down to 63 now. Here, I'll bring it over. I don't know why I'm just keeping it over there. So the high of this is 65, so we're going to sell 63, which is one tick below the bottom of the bar right there, and now we're in the trade. Now it has to go 4 ticks into profit, like that, to bump the stop, and now we'll lock in a couple of ticks on it. It should go right down. This is the low of the day right here. It should get down. This is the number it wants right here. So I can bring the target up to that number right there. That would be 12 ticks if it nails it. Okay, and it should make it through this swing low right here. I mean, if we get stopped out with 2 ticks in profit, we do, but it should go through the swing low, then through the low of the day, and keep going. And there, it's starting to go. Now, I'm going to lock in 2 more because that's $500. And we're out with the 5. Okay. And I am happy with the 4 ticks in profit right there. And when we put that in here, that is the ES here. 1, 0. And we have 11 minutes today. Maybe 12. Okay, so that's where things stand so far. It did pull back, so I'm glad I took the 4 ticks on that. Where are the 3 dots for the ES? They're all in the same place, Bart. It's on the range trigger down here. That's what you're having trouble with. Click on the 3 dots. You are talking about trading view, right? Just click on the range trigger. Run your cursor over this. You don't have to press anything. Click on the 3 dots. Okay. And when you hit the 3 dots, you go to move to. Yours will say existing pane below. Or it might say new pane below. It might say new pane below. Okay. And we just texted John. To review weeklies. All right, so the ES did put in a new low of the day. That's what we were looking for. But it didn't give us a second trade setup. $49.86 on AIG. dots. I'll look at that later. Yes. All right. Well, everything just got a little bit lower. The ES put in a new low of the day. The YM is 271 is the low of the day on the YM. The Russell 511.3 is the low of the day. And the NQ, everything's near the low of the day, 947.75 on the NQ. So everything's pretty close to the low of the day. The S is the only one that just put in a new low, though. Okay. What next? You found the three dots. You click on it, bar. If you got the three dots, click on it, left click, then go to move to. When you go to move to, you don't want to do existing pane above. You want to do either existing pane below or new pane below. New pane below is probably what you want to do. Go to new pane below. Okay, go to new pane below. All right. 6 minutes, guys. 6 minutes. And so far we've had just one trade. And we got profit on it. All right. Well, it's got something below. Okay, it's going to have something. What you did, Bart, is you grabbed this thing. You somehow drag that up there. This is what yours looks like. Okay, so you need to go to your TV Trades range trigger like that, then go to move to. Either going to have new pane below or new pane above or existing pane below. I'll choose new pane below. That's how you do it. All right. If you're kind of clumsy about it, you can accidentally drag this thing up and drop it on the top one, and that's probably what you did. Not meaning to. You probably did it. I've done that before. But all you have to do, once it's up there, and it's all messed up like this, all you have to do is go to the TV Trades range trigger, click on the three dots, and move it somewhere else. You're going to have something, some place to move it. You can move it above. Now it's above it instead of below it. Or you can move it below. All right, now it's back in there. You can go down one more. Move it back down to the bottom. That's how that works. Okay, you can move this around wherever you want. Or you can grab this and you can move this around wherever you want. I can move price if I want to. I can move price down to a new pane above, separates the indicators and everything. I can move price to existing pane below where it was. I can move price down where the slingshot is, or I can move price below the slingshot if I want to, like that. Okay, now none of that makes sense, so I'm going to put it back where it was, but that's how it works. Okay, that is how you get it done. All right, we only have a couple of minutes left here now, guys. We're running out of time. We might end up just getting the 500 today. Might end up just getting that one trade for 500 bucks. See, all these things are triggering right now as the markets just dive. Now I'm curious, now that it's 130, what the QQQ, the SPY, and the IWM are doing right now. The options, the 0DT options that I had suggested for those guys. Because right now, if we look at this, go out here to 8. This is the day right now. The day that we're down at the bottom right here. And it should keep going down. Okay, it should keep going down. My XRP guy's getting hammered. Everything's getting hammered right now. We could have another trade here on the ES. That's the only one. And we only have a minute and a half left. It's got a high here, 55.50. It can't go up above 55.75. If it goes above 55.75, it will not be a trade. If it drops down right here and closes at the bottom, it will be a trade. I'll take it if it does. It's right here. If it closes at the bottom, I'll take it. If it closes at the top, I'll cancel it and we'll wrap it up. And it closed at the top. I'm going to cancel it and wrap it up. Okay, it's too far away. It's not going to hit the mid-band on the down close. There's a chance we could have something on the NQ, but we're not going to get it on the ES. We may get it on one of the other three, but we're not going to get it on the ES, that's for sure. Okay, see the S kept going. The NQ is almost there at the midpoint. It didn't paint the last bar, so let's do it again. There it is. Now it's painted. It needs to hit the midpoint and give a down close, and that will be a trade on the NQ. And it looks like we're just going to wrap it up, guys. All right. So in today's session, we had one trade for a 4-tick win on the ES. That puts us up 500 bucks on this session. And that makes our total average on these sessions $134.57. So in these 14.6 minutes that we get every day to trade, average, we're getting the goal for the day, almost 1.5 times the goal for the day in these 14 minutes. So if you're not able to get to the morning session and you can get to this session, it's probably worth doing that. Okay. If you've not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. There's no credit card required for the trial. Click on that purple button and it will bring you to the registration page. This is going to change tomorrow. Bring it to the registration page, fill it out. On down the bottom, make sure you give us your TradingView login ID. Okay, if we don't get that ID, we don't know that you took the free trial. Right? Well, we do, but we can't enable your indicators. All right, so the way it came together, the NQ did actually give a trade right here. And I'm in that right now. I'm not going to count this toward the total, but it's at plus 10 right there. Okay, and it just took me out with plus 10. So that's it. With that, we can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. I'm not sure if Dwayne made it back. Yep, he did. Okay. And Dwayne is back. And he's probably finished everything he had to do anyway.
He's
Because
back. Yep,
he's
all we got
back.
left to do is the good word for the day. But first, I'll ask you, recap of the morning session, please.
And I will be happy to give that information to you right now. Today, it took 12 minutes and 4 trades to get you $1,600 with 10 contracts, or $160 with one.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, guys, I covered all the markets in granular detail. So if you missed any part of today's broadcast, give it 5-10 minutes after I sign off, and you can go to youtube.com/CFRN. You can watch today's broadcast in its entirety from start to finish, or you can fast forward to whatever part you want to see, whatever you might have missed. It's all there for you. It's over 2,900 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. So, good word for today. The seventh beatitude. You're probably noticing a theme. We did the fourth, the fifth, the sixth. So, this is the seventh. Matthew 5:9. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. The Hebrew word for peace is shalom. It refers to a sense of well-being that produces calmness and confidence, even in a crisis. It's assurance in the midst of uncertainty and confusion. Those who have an immovable, unshakable, rock-solid trust in God are those who experience genuine peace of heart. So, how do you acquire such peace? First, you must know what God says in His Word and believe it. You must make God's Word the foundation of all you believe, and therefore of all you say and do. You must take God at His Word and surrender your will to His commandments and His plan. You must root your expectations and hope in His promises and His desires. True peace of heart is always built on truth. The truth of who God is, who you are in Him, and how God wants you to relate to Him and with others. To know God's truth is to experience God's peace. As you seek to bring this kind of peace to the hearts of others, you are acting like your Heavenly Father. It is God's desire that you be reconciled to Him and experience the salvation and genuine heart peace. Our message is this: acquaint yourself with Him and be at peace. Thereby goodwill come to you. Job 22:21. Now, Paul put it this way in the New Testament: having been justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ. Romans 5:1. Our ultimate role as peacemakers is not simply to see men and women at peace with one another, but also at peace with God. And that's our good word for today. And again, to become a member, just email Valerie, support@cfrn.net. Call her at 949-42-EMINI. She will email you everything you need to know about becoming a member. You'll get 2 hours of live training every trading day, private one-on-one mentoring. You'll learn our methodology. You'll have access to our indicators. You'll get the Logic 247 alerts, the concierge trade alerts, the weekly trading zones, the CTAs, and you'll be able to attend the members-only workshop every Thursday night. So the ball's in your court. Support@cfrn.net or 949-42-EMINI. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. and I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.